All right. Hello and welcome to the Black Tower on the Sorcerer Ahrimanahsul. And in the name of Spirit, I welcome each and every one of you. And in the names of the twin serpents, Dohak and Domar, be ye welcome. All right, can everybody hear me all right? I'm going to be reading chat here so that I can keep up with questions. Uh, so if you would, let me know if you guys can. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Awesome. All right, you will notice over there, I don't know what happened a while ago, but I was about ready to get this thing started, and all of a sudden, like everything just like stood still. Like all my electronic equipment just straight up just said, fuck you. Went on pause. Modem was fine, router was fine, everything was fine, but nothing was happening. And so I had to restart my modem. And in the process of it, it was acting like it wasn't even there. Like there were no lights on it, nothing like that. And I was like, oh, fuck no, because with what I'm about to be going over tonight, I'm going to be offering what I refer to as the meat of the gods. It is the flesh of spirit. And we're going to be partaking of a most unholy Eucharist as I share uh, secrets as they come to me, as I'm allowed to actually share, because there are a lot of details in sorcery and true sorcery that are never explained to anybody. They expect you to already fucking know this shit. They expect you to already be aware of all these little nuances and all these little details and things. Like I was telling a buddy of mine, it's like reading 100 books and having to understand them completely and be able to actually practically apply them. And I have been wanting to go this route forever and a day on my YouTube channel here. Uh, because you got to understand that there is a way of spirit and then there is the way of flesh, and you always give unto spirit that which is spirit, and you always give unto flesh that which is flesh. And so these two candles behind me, they represent the twin serpents of Azide Haka, Domar and Dohak. They represent the red and the black serpents, the Kundalini serpents, if you will, in some traditions. But this is according to the Armenian tradition. And I have lit dragon's blood cone incense and amber sandalwood as an offering. And no sooner had I got these two involved in it, because I'm like, I put all of myself out there for anybody who knows me, either online through phone calls or through video chat. If there's something I know, I give it freely. I straight up fucking tell you anything I know about shit. I don't try to charge people. I don't do nothing like that. I have nothing against the people who do this. Okay. And personally, I would love to be up there to where I could do that. But right now, there are too many things going on in my life that I can't allow that to come into play right now, which is why I don't offer services and things like that. It's not that I'm above it. It's not that I think it's wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm just not at a point in my life where I can do that shit, where I can offer that. Uh, but so that's just a little bit of catching up with everybody here. It's good to see you guys, man. I'm glad y'all made it out here. Uh, this means a lot to me. Uh, so the Black Tower was founded so that I could discuss the Simon Necronomicon. And it seems like forever and a day I haven't posted anything in like 8 months, and this is true. I haven't, and I do apologize. You didn't miss anything, Patchwork. Was just talking about a few problems I was having and how I do confront them and deal with them. Uh, but anyway, so the Simon Necronomicon 24 years ago, I just, I picked it up, I ran with it. I studied every system I could find, every magical system, shamanism, druidism, even studying different religions, their mysteries and things of that nature, just so that I could try and understand how to possibly put this book into action, how it could be worked. Because with so many people out there, it's a made up thing, and I'm not getting into that because I really don't care. If it works, it works. Like I was instructed to 20 years ago. If it works, hold on to it. If it doesn't, throw it away. May not be useful for you, but it might be useful for somebody else. Hence why we don't judge other people who are like, oh, I'm into this. Just because it doesn't work for you doesn't mean it doesn't work for them. So we try to keep that parallel here. In the past, I've said on my channel, I'm like, check the ego at the door. And part of what bothers me over the years that I've been doing this is that I feel like I've watered down, not necessarily, that I've watered down what I actually want to present. Because, see, there are so many things in magic. I don't care if you're talking about a path, if you're talking about a personal belief system, any of these things, there are so many secrets and there are so many details, and then you've got to take into account that, how many people are going to sit and listen to an hour-long lecture on something, and then at the same time, how many people are willing to sit there, especially if it's something where they feel like they're being spiritually fed something. I took this one. I so stole this from the Christians, where they talk about, where they talk about feeding the spirit and stuff. Well, I may not be a Christian, and I don't follow any kind of religion in the sense of a religion. If I did, it would be called Waylanism, and it'd just be for me. And I don't need no followers or converts. It's just what I do. But at any rate, so when you're doing a YouTube channel and you're trying to share what you know with people, you've got to make certain that you break it down to where people can actually understand what you're saying. You've also got to be careful of how you present yourself, because you want them to take you seriously without thinking you're a nut job or something, in which case they either are or not. Right? Hell yeah, man. And there's all these different angles that you got to take into consideration when you're doing this. But for me, even though I say check the ego at the door, for me, it is a point of ego. It is a point of pride, because I take pride in the fact that for 24 years, I haven't stopped one time. I walk the magical path. I walk the serpent's path, the crooked path, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to refer to it as. I walk it. I walk the path of magic, and I don't just walk the path of magic. I am the magic. I am the path and the one who walks the path. And that, in a sense, is what we've all got to be. But now, it started getting to me that when I was first breaking out the details and the nuances within the Simon Necronomicon, I'm like, there's so much more to it than that. Because you can take up a book and you can begin working through it. But if you yourself do not have a personal base or a belief system that's just yours, that's nobody else's, what is going to power, a system that you pick up? Like, I work out of Mark Allen Smith's Queen of Hell, Red King, and Scorpion God books, and Paths of Sacrifice. I also work out of Luciferian Witchcraft, so forth and so on, Black Magic of Ahriman by Courage Joseph. I work all these different systems and all these different things. And how do you do that? How do you keep them from becoming mixed up and confused in what you're doing? It's easy, because to me, these are like archetypes. These are like they're just, to me, it's not that they're not real, but imagine it like this right here. Imagine that they are pieces to a gigantic puzzle. Okay, and you don't really necessarily need to understand, how to create a puzzle out of everything that you've done. But you do need to have a very, very, very strong sense of who you are, what your own personal belief system and all that is. And this is where the term sorcerer came in, and this is why I choose the moniker, and it's why I work magic the way I do. It's why I approach things the way I do. So let's start off with some stuff that's normally withheld from the public. Okay, now many of you might know that I do a lot of interviews with people, and we have like a lot of different conversations, right? Well, I enjoy that. I really do, because it allows me to, come from somebody else's point of view, to look at it from another angle, maybe look at a system or a tradition or something that they're working. Okay. But for me, it's an experience. It's a chance for me to look at something through someone else's eyes, to maybe understand it from an angle that I personally do not understand it from. And now, forever and a day, it's been bothering me, like I said, that it feels like my channel got watered down, like it didn't go the direction I wanted it to go in. And here's why. I wanted to introduce sorcery, and not just the concept of sorcery, and not just a snazzy title, nothing like that. Wanted to introduce people to power, to true power, to the power that lies inside you, the power that lies in everyone who is awakened or who has been awoke to this point. Now, during any of this time, I welcome questions, so please, I'm sitting here looking at this, and here in a second, I'm going to take a second to catch everything so I can keep up with it, and I'll try to keep up with it as I'm talking. So, like I said, feel free to ask questions, comments, anything like that. Okay, but so the very first thing that we need to understand is that there are two aspects of ourselves, and they are one. They are one. Let us take into account our higher self and our lower self. Some have known this as the spiritual self and the carnal self, so that you have mind and body. Okay, and the mind is the psyche, and psyche is the seat of the soul. But the idea is that you have to look at it like this right here: that these two parts are one part. Okay, they're not separate. They're somewhere inside your mind. You have to come to this realization, and you have to make it. You have to make it a part of your belief system. You have to be able to make them work for you, not against you. This is why all these meditations, and that's why all these different things to remove parts of ourselves that don't serve us. Okay, so when I sit there and use a term like holy guardian angel and holy daemon, you have to understand that's one being. Okay, it just takes on either the etheric or the chthonic form within us, depending on what we're doing, at which angle we're coming from. If you're working in the underworld or you're working, cosmic magics, things of this nature. Sometimes in cosmic magic, like when you're talking about the magic of planets and stars and constellations and all this other stuff, you're going to be contending with the etheric self, okay? And then there's going to be times when it's actually the chthonic self that is actually going to aid you more in those workings. Like, for example, working with the old ones that are beyond time space. They're kind of interdimensional, between the angle type beings. Many of you who caught the interview I did with John Vermillion, you have somewhat of an understanding of what I'm talking about. In these instances, then there are times when, based on vibration and frequency, that you're going to be working through either the etheric form as HGA or the chthonic form as the holy daemon. Just remember, no matter what you call it, it's one being. Also, I think this is interesting that out there in this day and age, there are these wonderful, wonderful concepts. Everybody's got a million and one things to fucking say, and nobody says a motherfucking thing. Despite 1,000 words, they don't say anything, or it's regurgitated. Like, for example, they talk about the shadow and the ego and all this other stuff, and then they want to classify and sort it out, and they want to try and break it down. And it ends up confusing us more than it does actually help us in understanding a damn thing. And then there's some people out there who actually have that separated well enough in their head that they're like, yeah, I get it. I don't know why the rest of y'all don't. Hey, kudos to you. I'm glad you can. But for tonight, I want to discuss the Fravashi. Now, this is a word that I picked up from a book called Draga by Michael W. Ford. Now, I have walked the path of the Yatu for somewhere around 13 years or so now. And the path of Yatu is nothing to scoff at. It's a spiritual path. It's not one like this is where I was saying that we need to talk more about this. So you have magical systems, okay? Like you take into account Necronomicon, Solamnic magic, the Goetia. You take all these things into account, okay? Imagine that they are icing on cake, okay? Now, what I'm referring to would be the cake part of it. It would be the base of the temple, if you will. It's what's going to be with you from the time you were first a spark in the universe to the time that you are no longer, okay? And it's important that you know the difference, okay? Because there's a thing that we do, and then there's a thing that we are. And what I'm discussing tonight are the things that we are, okay? So with that in mind, I'm gonna try my best not to get tangled over my own words, and I'm gonna try to make as much sense as possible. This is where I'm going to need your questions and your input. Okay, that way, if there's a point that I didn't quite make, you can correct me so that I can actually explain it in better detail. Okay, because I'm used to doing this with other people. It's been a while since I did a live stream just me. Uh, so anyway, let's start with the Fravashi. So the Fravashi is the soul. So the Fravashi is the soul, and you're thinking Soul, okay. Now we're not talking about the Jungian shadow archetype, okay. That's not what we're talking about, and we're definitely not talking about the ego, okay. We're talking about something that is beyond explanation. This is in the realm of sorcery. This is what they could refer to as black magic, and this is a whole different ball game. What I'm about to go into, or try to go into detail with you on. Now, the Fravashi is the shadow self. It is the soul itself, and soul is the darkest aspect of self. It is the part that was born in the void. It comes from the void. You would take into account that within all of mankind lies an urge for self-destructiveness, hence drugs, alcohol, all this other stuff. This is why we're drawn to these things, is because there's a natural inclination for destruction, whether to destroy ourselves or to destroy others. And this all comes from this soul, okay, this Fravashi. Now, the thing is that when you become aware of your Fravashi, like consciously aware of it, that it is a thing. Sometimes it will come across as if it is a piece of you that does its own thing, okay? That's like a spirit that just keeps surrounding you, that doesn't go away, that just, happens to be there and just does whatever it's doing. Well, this is within you, okay? And with this in mind, so you've got this piece, and it's awakened, and once you become aware of it, you have to do what they call you have to befriend it. You have to cleanse and purify it. Yeah, it's a lot like in the Simon Necronomicon where you're walking through the gate systems. It's talking about the purification of the spirit and all this, that, and the other. Well, imagine that after you've done the steps of walking those gates and it's cleansed it. This is the piece that is born when you cross the abyss. This is the part that awakens. It's not born. It's not created after you cross the abyss. Okay, I need you to understand this. This is the piece that awakens when you have crossed the abyss, when you have entered into the void. This part of you comes to life. It wakes up. Okay, and this is really hard to explain. There's not a lot of people who go into detail on this, but when this part comes alive, you've got to understand. You've got to think of it as, maybe when you're younger, and I don't know, some of you might range in different ages. They talk about an angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. Well, imagine the Fravashi is something that is ultimate power, is ultimate knowledge, is ultimate this, is ultimate that. And it does not understand, nor does it give a fuck about physicality. It does not. Because it's not of this realm, and it cares nothing for this realm. And it is what it is. It does what it does. And so when you try to apply logic to it, you cannot. These are the things that when I talk about madness and things that can cause madness, this is one of those things. Because the whole time you're trying to liberate it, free it, and wake it, and to become stronger with it. Also think of it as the adversary. It is the adversary within yourself that also opposes you so that you become stronger. Cool. I'm glad, guys. But this piece, once it comes to this Fravashi, what happens is not only is it the adversary and stuff, but the idea works a lot like this right here. This piece is what we're referring to when we say the God within. When we're talking about we've always been gods, we just need to remember this, that everything that we do in magic and in ceremony and in ritual is to open up the different parts of our psyche so that we remember, so that we well, for lack of better words, ascend, even though ascend is not the word I'm looking for in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Think of it as evolution. Okay, this is where you become more than human. Okay, well, this piece, once it awakens, it is the key to everything you can possibly become, everything you can possibly do. Okay, and this piece is to be guarded and protected. Okay, now, normally, what you want to do when something like when this piece awakens inside you, you need to connect with it. This is where you need to back the fuck off. Yeah, it is. You need to back the You need to back the fuck off of society a bit. This is the thing that you keep to yourself. Is when you learn this piece, when you know about this piece, to keep silent. This is the part that you keep silent on, not necessarily what I'm discussing, but like the knowledge of your own Fravashi. You know, because like in voodoo and stuff like that, and all these different practices, and they're talking about capturing your soul, stuff like this. This is what they're talking about. One void magic, stuff of this nature. What you would do is you would make a container, a sacred container, and you would put this piece of yourself into it, not to separate it, not to trap it, not to capture it, but to protect it against other practitioners who would try to steal that part from you. Because you got to think, as much of it as it is a adversary for you to help you grow and become, it's just pure power. It is pure power. It is the God essence. It is. I years ago having a conversation with Lord David Assenstein. We were having a conversation and we were talking about the power of the gods, and we called it the Alu. So this is the Alu of the gods. This is when Hoover said that she crowned the abominations with halos as of gods. That God power, that Elu power, that is the Fravashi, and that is your God self. That is the part that is beyond our comprehension or understanding. Uh, for example, there are lots of magic that you can do. Like I don't get much into this because a lot of times it confuses the beginner. Then it gets them going down a path that they really don't need to. Not right then and there, because you have to learn the basics of ritual and magic. You have to understand meditation, the controlling of the mind, the refining of the will, so forth and so on. Cool, D. Hell yeah. That was cool shit. And the reason why is because there are magics that you can perform. That when I sit there and I say, you do a ritual for this and you do a ritual for that, and you've got to go out and you've got to go fill out the forms and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. You got to do the physical part of it. The stronger the connection between you and your Fravashi, the less actual physical workings you have to do to be able to accomplish the desires that you have. Now, you still have to get out and about. I mean, that never fails, you know what I'm saying? But don't be surprised, you get phone calls, emails, people showing up at your door. Stuff like this actually does happen. Happens to me quite a bit. And it's not because I'm some great grand Pumbaa. It's because I know myself. So when they talk about the root of know thyself, this is what they're talking about. Know yourself, but you have to know all the parts of yourself. And the Fravashi is one of those forbidden topics. This is one of those topics that you won't find many people that will even talk with you about. Few conversations I have had with people that I actually trust, that I respect what they're saying, even they are hush hush on this because it's just one of those things where, to talk on it too much is to give it away. When they talk about, keep it secret, keep it sacred, the Fravashi is a lot like that. Think of it as something very delicate that can be tore, ripped, stolen. Okay, and hence why nobody talks about this. Okay, now once you come to know your Fravashi, or that your shadows, your soul as shadow, that kind of information is the kind of stuff you want to keep to yourself. Okay, the knowledge of it, its name, if you ever discover its name, its qualities, its traits, all this other stuff, and then you want to create, like I said, a container, safely put it in. If you're curious about how to do that, I would suggest reach out to a Bakura Budon practitioner, somebody who actually knows this stuff, and that is trustworthy. That you can actually trust that when you say, "Hey, I need, you know, I need a soul vessel. You know, how would I go about doing this?" Something that you can trust, someone that you can trust, because, like I said, this is something that could be taken from. Uh, and this is where we came up with this is where we come up with the rules that govern us individually about war. Okay. Now I'm about to go a little bit out there, so y'all try to keep y'all try to keep up with me here just a little bit. Sorry, I'll be bouncing all over the place, but I'm gonna try to explain this. Okay. Peace implies war. You cannot have peace if you do not fucking fight for it. There will be no peace unless you do. Okay. Second off, you have to know the ways of war. You have to know the tricks and tips. You have to know strategy. You have to. Okay. Now, if magic is your thing, if it's what your life is, if you and your life and it are all one and the same, because we don't, at a certain point you quit saying, "Oh, I'm a practitioner," and you just say, "Oh, I'm such and such." Like, I'm well. This is a path I've been walking forever and a day. It is just what I do. And I don't have to sit around and try to explain, "Oh, this, that, and the other." "Oh, yeah, I want this and I want that, and you should do this and you should do that." You don't have to do all that. The only thing I like to share is knowledge and understanding of certain things. I like to break it out so that everybody can actually understand what the fuck this shit means. And one of the hardest to explain, like I said, is the Fravashi. But it is the God seed. It is the sacred core. It is the star self, for lack of better words. And good evening, Felix. And to any of you out there that I haven't said hello to, hell and well met to every single one of you. Like I said, this is something I've been wanting to talk about forever and a day. Is these different concepts, these different ideas, because these things are just not explained. They're not. And for the next thing, the next part of it that I want to discuss is apotheosis. This is something that I by no means honestly try to really get into with anybody, because unless you've walked the path, unless you know what it is, unless you know what it's about, it is something that could destroy you just as easily as it could create you. Now, it's not like the Fravashi where I'm talking about where, you need to put it in something safe, to protect it. It's not like that. The path of apotheosis, think of it as a path of sacrifice, okay? Think about from the day one you first started practicing magic, which I remember 24 years ago. I imagined it like an altar. I sacrificed my life and everything that would possibly ever be in it, that could come into my life, that could leave my life, and I threw it up there. I said nothing is more important than the attainment of my own best and highest self, for lack of better words. And back then I didn't know what you called it. I was just like, I was willing to sacrifice everything for it. And this is the path of apotheosis, as I come to find out later on, is that if you're not willing to sacrifice everything, your sanity, your financial well-being, your love life, look, there are some people, they're like, well, that scares the shit out of me, and I don't want to lose this and I don't want to lose that. Well, then the path of apotheosis is not for you, and that's fine. It's not for everybody. But some souls that are upon this earth, they find that they would rather burn so completely and become the finest metal or essence of self that they could ever be, as opposed to anything they could obtain upon this earth. But now there's a little secret here, and it's a door that no one ever talks about. The closer to the perfected self that you are, the universe itself provides every fucking need and want that you could ever want. But the secret is to sacrifice everything to it. Now, that sounds like a mouthful, and that sounds a little hard to swallow. But for anybody who's walked this path or walked the path of sacrifice, you know what I'm talking about. You have to be willing to lose everything at a moment's notice. Cry and whine about it. You're a fucking sorcerer, you're a fucking magician, you're a fucking witch, you're fucking something. Get your ass up and fucking change that shit. Open the fucking door, call the powers that be, and fucking wield that shit, because it's yours. And build, create, craft, design by desire these things. You know, if you're magical and you don't have something, guess what? Put that magical self to fucking work. You need something, draw it to you. You need something removed, fucking remove it. Take it by whatever steps it requires, whether it's a physical step that requires it, whether magical resistance. Maybe you need to meditate and strengthen the control over your own mind so that you quit drawing things to you that you don't desire or want. You know, and these acts are what strengthens the Fravashi and the connection between you and your Fravashi. Okay, this is where immortality, life after death. This is where the whole concept comes from. You know, do we die? Hell no, we don't die. The soul's fucking immortal, man. You know, this is gonna go. Big fucking whoop. You know, there you go. But the thing is that with so many different things out there, and I understand that there are lots of belief systems about where this all goes, whether we all go back to the great big seed, you know, whether that or whether reincarnation or this, that, and the other. Well, me personally, I don't overwhelm my mind with this shit because I don't give a fuck. The thing that I concern myself with is the perfection of the God self within me. And that part, I build on that. You know, I don't see some afterlife where I'm going to be, you know, becoming part of some great big energy source from which all life comes from. And if that's your bag, if that's your bucket of stuff, cool. You know, nothing wrong with that, but it's not mine. You know, I don't abide by the laws and the words and the rules and systems of everybody else. You know, that's why I choose Sorcerer, because I choose my own path. I choose my own destiny, my own weird, my own fate, whatever you want to refer to it as. You know, and it all starts within your fucking mind. You know, what do you choose to believe? You know, I've read everything from Hinduism, Buddhism, you know, all kinds of different things. And there are so many different angles that you could go with this one. But I chose to clear my mind, to have no thought. I allowed the void to take that, to say, what if there's nothing? What if nothing exists beyond this? And I went with that, you know, because I'm like, you know, the only way to destroy these constructs that have been built up in our lifetime as we've gotten older is that we have to destroy them, you know. Before birth comes death every single time, you know. It's a hand-in-hand relationship. It's not, you know, you can look at it like a cycle, but the way I like to look at it is that it is one essence or force shifting what it does. And that is what we have to become. We have to become death, and we have to become life itself. Well, sometimes this is easier said than done because, you know, what are you going to, it is so hard to explain to people that, you know, okay, it's like for example, I was raised up Southern Baptist and all this other crap. I've been in all kinds of churches and all this other shit. I've had so much programmed into my head. And the very first thing that I realized is that I was going to have to take everything I've ever been taught to believe, everything I hear coming out of other people's mouths, and just toss that shit and start over clean slate. No thought, no feelings, no beliefs, no nothing. This is where you enter into the void. Allow the void to remove it all from you. Okay, this is death. This is the first death. Those who have seen the key, the very first arm. It is where you go to kill. The very first part that has to die is the programming of the mind. It is the very first thing that must die. It is the first thing that you must sacrifice. It is the first thing that must be killed. And it must be absolutely destroyed. No parts and pieces left over. Now, once you come through that, then you can start to build up, okay, based on Hermeticism or based on this, or whatever. This is one piece I want to keep. This is one piece I want to keep. You know, make it part of your belief system. Slowly over time, and you're not going to sit there and, oh, you're not getting it. It's complete insanity, absolutely. You know, and that's part of what the discussion about madness, and I'll get to that in a minute. But you take all these pieces and you build up what makes you, you. your belief system, stuff like this. Well, these beliefs, and as 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 uh, as a better part of myself once told me, set the laws. And I didn't quite understand what that meant. It took me about 2 weeks to understand what it was saying was create the laws by which you are going to govern yourself. And the reason why you do this is because it allows you uh, a wider range or ease of movement, magically speaking, when dealing or confronting others. Like, for example, someone wants to attack you because they're jealous. Well, first off, you don't have to have the belief whether that's right or that's fucking wrong because, like I said, in that first death, you should already got rid of that. That shouldn't still be with you. But when you set the laws and you say, like here's an example. I personally, I'm wailing right here. I'm not gonna go out and attack anybody, but don't step towards me because I'm gonna fuck your shit up. That's what I'm talking about. You have to set the laws, and when you do this, there's no such thing as repercussion. There's no energy coming back. There's no karma. All this stuff. Once again, they should have been thrown in that fire. People who have gone through this process, they don't have to deal with that because they've already rid it from their mind. It's no longer a complex. If I've worded that correctly, which I think I have. I don't know if we're all raised insane, man, but we're definitely raised up in an insane world. I will give it that. But now, how does the Fravashi and what I just described, how does that work? You've made a clear path for the Fravashi or the Shadow of Soul to move in when you've done this, okay? Like I said, this is all tied in, every single bit of it. This is the perfection of self. These are, like I said, these are some of the things that you're not going to get too many people to sit down, open up, and be like, oh, well, it's like this. They just don't do it for whatever reason, whether they think you're unworthy or whatever. I have no idea. I don't have that problem. And it's not because I checked my fucking ego at the door. My ego is just fine. I didn't kill my ego. I created my ego in the likeness I wanted it in. And I walk in that ego. Prideful? Damn right, man. Just like Lucifer, very fucking proud. Very proud of everything I've ever done. Do I have to go off and show off? Hell fuck no. I don't feel that kind of need to self-grandize my fucking self. There's no sense in it. It'd be one thing if it would actually allow me to attain something I wanted from an individual. But since I'm not really in a place where I'm really trying to attain anything, it becomes needless to do so. So I only open that door if I need to. It's not that it doesn't exist within me, because I'm very truthful with that. It does. All things exist within us. The nastiest, dirtiest fucking shit ever abides within us. I mean, after all, humankind is the worst kind of fucking animal there is. We just have reason and logic on our end, unlike just pure reaction and, instinct. Ain't that beautiful? Now we got past that. Let's get to madness. Oh, this is my favorite one of all. This is the one I like to say. Yeah, there's this, every now and then my wife fucks with me and tells me, she's like, I think you lost your fucking mind. And I'll joke back with her and I'll tell her, well, honey, you have to have had a mind to have lost your mind. And I never had one. And here's what I meant by that. And here's what I always mean by that. From the day that we are born, we are programmed constantly. Constantly, we are programmed. I don't care if it's a commercial, if it's somebody's fucking opinion, if it's reading a post, reading a meme, somebody preaching at you. I don't give a fuck what it is. We're always programmed. And so the idea is like Wuxin is like, no mind, hence the whole, you had a mind to lose it. Well, this is my humorous way of approaching that, because when I sit here and I say that I don't give a fuck, I don't. Like, I might read something, but it stopped right here. I saw it, I read it, okay, great. Do some things, do I feel where they're trying to touch in, whether it's my emotions or whether it's trying to get me all amped up against somebody? Well, of course, you can always feel that shit. You feel that shit coming a mile off. That's why, the last few live streams I'm talking about and shit with people, everything from Sorcerer Narius, my dear sister, to DH Thorne, that's my boy. To a few others, I sit there and I sit there and I say that this division has got to fucking stop. This shit's got to fucking stop. I don't take sides. I don't give a fuck for sides. I'm like that tree on Lord of the fucking Rings. I don't give a fuck because nobody gave a fuck about me. And it's not really like that, but there comes a degree when you have to give as much of a shit and a fuck about yourself than you do anyone else. If you're always worried about what everybody else fucking thinks, you need to take a step back, look at yourself, and see how much you give a fuck about yourself. Do you care enough to get up, shave, try to work out, I'm getting over the surgery and stuff, I'm finally on fucking crutches. Finally able to put some weight on my leg. But why am I there? Am I there because my body's healing itself to a small degree, but to a greater degree? Let me tell you something. Recently, I just found out bone density is just fucking way too low. Bones not healing. Bones not doing this, not doing that, not doing this, not doing that. So what did I apply? I applied will, desire, and the fucking force and power of my fucking soul, and I said, bullshit. I give a fuck what your fucking paper says. I don't care what your fucking tests say. If I can stand there on my leg and put some fucking weight on it, guess what? Good enough for fucking me. You have to take into account your own fucking life. You're gonna sit back, you're gonna be a victim, and you're gonna be the fucking villain. I'm gonna always be the fucking villain, And I know that everybody's like, well, no, that's not how that saying goes. Well, you can either be the victim or you can be the hero, or you can be whatever. Me, myself, and I have always found that being the adversary to be the most powerful aspect that we can possibly be, and here's why I say that. I'm not talking about the asshole that puts people down. That's not the adversary. Okay? In this day and age, I don't think anybody truly fucking understands what in the hell the difference is between their shadow, their ego, or any of this shit is, and they can classify it in all these different directions if they want to, but I don't think that they themselves fucking understand. Like on a personal level, I don't think they understand. Someone comes at me and they want to bring up an argument. I'm not gonna fucking argue because I don't have to fucking argue. What the fuck do I have to argue about? If it's a point, if it's an indiscretion, you think I'm fucking wrong, great. You think I'm fucking wrong, guess what? Cool. Kudos to you for standing up for what you fucking believe, but why are you coming at me? What sense of weakness inside yourself are you feeling or sensing that you feel as if I'm a threat to that? See, and that's what's happening in our occult community right now, is that you have all these misaligned people. And I don't mean misaligned as in not in the right clique or the right group or mentality or anything. No, they're misaligned with inside themselves. They're just not in perfect alignment with who and what they are. If they were, it's not that we're all going to get along. This ain't some kumbaya singing around a fucking campfire. But damn, man, there comes a point where there are people that I read that I personally, I don't really agree with what they're saying. I don't have anything to say about that, though. I'm like, okay, cool. Click, go on. I'm going to get on there and tell them they're fucking wrong for what reason? I don't have any reason. That's their belief. That's their system. Great and fancy, if that works for them, if that wakes them up every day, that they get up, they get dressed, showered, shaved, and they feel like a fucking person, and they go out there and they exhibit the god or goddess that they are. Congratulations. That is what we're here for. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Feel that you're very thankful for the advice unless you're talking to others in the chat. I'm really trying to keep up, but can't really too much. But the thing is that divisiveness does nothing for us. Okay. Right now we're at a point in time where we can sit here and we talk about black magic. There's a time we can sit here and we talk about cursing, we talk about this, we can talk about that. What's going to happen in a few years, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 80, 100 years, and this isn't me speaking shit on this, but just pay attention. What's going to fucking happen when they decide that we're the enemy again? When they decide we're evil and we must be destroyed? What's going to happen then? If we don't get our fucking shit together, quit infighting, We have to be just as strong collectively, even if we don't fucking agree, even if we don't see it the same fucking way. Nobody should. No one ever will. Leave the herd mentality to the fucking herd. You know, even wolves and bunches can travel in the same damn direction without being right beside one another, feeling like we're one big army of wolves. You know, collectively we are what we are. But if we don't start getting some cohesion together, what's going to happen is we're all going to be caught a little bit off guard when the shit comes down to it. You know, because one of the secrets that I learned from working with Yogs of Thought is that it's not enough just to think about the past of what's happened and what's been. It's not enough just to think about right now, what's going on right this minute, or what could or could not happen in the future. But when you're looking at the past and the present gives the opportunity to fix, change, to alter what has happened in the past, what has caused the past to be the past, so that our future is designed perfectly by desire. Once again, coming right back to that, you know, for as long as there's mankind on this earth, there's going to be division. I mean, there's just going to be. There's nothing you can do about that. There's going to be wars. There's going to be this. There's going to be that. You know, that's not what I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to fight against something that can't possibly be changed. But what I'm saying is if we're all in one big community, what the fuck? What the fuck? You know, this is just the part where we've got to put our, you know, put your sword on your back, leave that shit to the right fucking enemy. But as a collective, as a whole, we're not the enemy. You know, I sit here and you talk about, you know, when I sit here and I talk about the Fravashi, and I talk about the God self within, and then I sit here and I talk about, you know, Apotheosis, about sacrificing all this stuff, you know, and putting this together. You know, and then it comes to the point of madness, which is what I'm sitting here and I'm discussing. This is what caused madness on a larger scale. Think of it this way: us individually, as we are evolving and ascending and becoming and all this other shit, the world's collective consciousness is changing one piece at a fucking time. Okay. Now, if all of us are trying to do this, what's happening? The collective consciousness itself is fucking changing, and it's causing differences in the world's energies and patterns and designs of what's happening upon this earth. Okay, this is why I said, you know, there's going to come a time when we're not exactly going to be able to do what we're doing now. You know, it's just a matter of history. I mean, you look at history; it's just how it happens. There's nothing wrong with that, but you got to be prepared for that. You know, there's going to come a time where we can't do this on YouTube, we can't do this here, we can't do this there. Hell, the signs right now. I mean, you got so many, I don't know, snowflakes. They can't handle you saying anything. Oh, you hurt my feelings. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ, man, you should have been me when I was a kid. You get your feelings hurt all the time. You know, I can't tell you how many people that I was friends with, hell, we got into fist fights and shit, you know, and then next thing you know, we're best friends all over again because that's just what you did. You know, you got the fuck over it. You know, you worked it out between one another. You got the fuck over it. And you didn't put on some great big show, and you didn't get on here and try to, you know, oh, well, such and such was doing this and such was doing that, because that happened even when I was younger too. But, you know, most of us that were really around in that time, you know, coming up like that, you know, what did we do? We fixed the problems our fucking selves. You know, we didn't look for others to fix it for us. We weren't looking for fucking company and misery, you know. Well, not all of us anyway, you know. And then comes to the point of where I was talking about madness here. You know, that's just an aspect of it. But imagine all this shifting and becoming an awakening and just this long, long road of apotheosis, because it is not something that just fucking begins and ends, okay? Then when they talk about the door that cannot be closed, when they talk about the path that cannot be left, this is what they're talking about, apotheosis. Now, apotheosis is kind of strange because it's one of those things where it's like, you know, think of the void for a minute where nothing existed, and it's just you. There are no gods to have your back. There's no great big power going to swoop in. Jesus ain't going to die on the cross for your fucking sins. God's not fucking listening. Buddha is happy beneath his tree, and so forth and so on. The only one going to pull you out or help you or save you is yourself. This is where the Fravashi comes in. This is why it's so important to build that relationship. Because the Fravashi is the one that actually saves you, that actually picks you up. And though I'm talking about it as if it is a separate part, once again, it is you. And when you become comfortable, when you become one with your Fravashi, there's no such thing as alone. You could give a fuck less. It doesn't work like that. You know, it's not viewed like that. It's not sensed or experienced or felt. Because think of it like this right here. It is a seed of darkness that was there before the light was born. And it was born and it came through the light. And then it settled back down into the darkness and the density of flesh. And the cycle begins anew and it washes and rewashes, rinse, repeat. You know, and there's not everybody can handle that. Not everybody can handle the thought of their life going to fucking hell. I sit here and I'm sitting there going, you know, physically I'm not in a condition that if somebody walked through that front door that I have open right now, let the air out and the cigarette smoke out. Somebody walked in there, you know, some 6'2", 280, 340-pound dude's like, I want to kick your fucking ass. You know what's going to happen to me? On a physical fucking level? Well, let's put it this way. If I don't have something really sharp to stab me with in the fucking eye or throat, guess what? I'm going to get my fucking ass handed to me, okay? This is reality, you know? This is why I think some people are so funny, these keyboard warriors, man. You know, sit on that side. You think you say so there's dip, 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 dip. I'm not talking about some motherfucker walking around, coming to your house, finding out where you fucking live, man. We're magical motherfuckers. Where you gonna fucking hide, man? Where you gonna fucking hide? See, you have to take that into consideration when you're dealing with one another, when you're treating one another with disrespect, or when you're just being just silly or stupid or whatever the word is, you know. Not everybody, you know, is like that. Not everybody turns the other cheek. Not everybody lets that shit go. Hey, sister. Well, at least you made it, you know. And that's part of becoming, you know. But also at the same time, at a certain point, you know what you're not going to really give a fuck about these keyboard warriors? They're keyboard rejects. Not warriors, rejects. Because if that's the best that they've got, is to put you down by typing up words. Remember I was saying we're kids, sticks and stones might break my bones, but words never hurt me? Well, I always had a saying with that. But I can always give you a knuckle sandwich and put the words right back down your throat. And I always liked that, you know, because I believe that you should stand up for yourself. You should, you know. But don't get carried away in the drama of it. Fuck that, you know. And, you know, for everything, apply the right amount of pressure, you know. You put the right amount of force. You don't always have to kick a motherfucker off the ledge. Sometimes you just have to point out to them, hey, man, you're being a rude motherfucker and you need to stop. Because you'd be amazed. Not too long ago, I had somebody that I was having a disagreement with, and I was just like, all of a sudden, and I had no idea why. I was just like, you know what? I was like, you know, that's fine. You say whatever you want to, but you could also be a little bit nicer about it. Dude did a 180, just fucking changed the whole way he was talking because he didn't realize he was coming across that way. And it wasn't because I was misunderstanding, but it was because I don't know if guy had a bad day. I don't know if he was used to dealing with ass hats or what the deal was. But as soon as I told him, hey, man, you know, we can have a conversation, but let's be, you know, be a little bit nicer about this. A little bit more social. And, you know, and you can turn things around doing this, you know. But all these things, they're learned and they're garnered throughout life. You know, they don't just happen over fucking night. You know, you just, they're evolved. They become stronger. You become stronger, you know. And when we're sitting there and we're using that power of ourselves, you know, and that's why I do this channel at all. It's not because I'm trying to be somebody's fucking guru or their fucking Jesus. Fuck that, man. Got no fucking hero complex. Piss on that, you know. But I can get on here, you know, get on Facebook or whatever, just fucking pick people up, you know, stuff like that. Hell, it takes no power or energy away from me to be a kind person, to say some kind words. This doesn't make me some kind of bitch. It don't make me some kind of, oh, you're not evil enough. bitch, you don't know what's in my heart. And I always thought that was funny. There are times when, I'll back you up to the nines, man, all the way and be like, come on, you got this, you can do this. But there comes this point where there's some people, and I realize that they're just a waste of any energy or strength you put into them. And you have to be wise enough to know the difference. And you have to let them settle shit for themselves. Sometimes it's just how it works. There are going to be people that fall out of your life, and there's going to be people you remove from your life because you realize in the long run that they've got to reach that point before they can be a part of it. And that's also part of the madness of the whole thing. I'm gonna try to catch up with chat here real quick. Let's see if I read some of this stuff. Can people bring back their ego and shape it? Well, Felix, Satanist Fruit Witch. Can people bring back their ego and shape it? Well, let me say this. Ego doesn't go away. You can't kill your ego. Despite difference of opinions and thoughts on it. But yes, you can shape your ego. You can. It's called the integration of the shadow for a reason. Because there are aspects that you have to be knowledgeable of to be able to make them happen in that sense. I don't know if that really fully answers your question. If you got a little bit more of an idea of what you were trying to ask there, Felix, I'll be more than glad to try and answer that. Patchwork, I question my sanity constantly. Whether I quit questioning the sanity, I now question whether or not I have enough coffee and cigarettes to do me through the day. Fuck the rest of it. I'll let it go, man. There's only so much bullshit you can take, brother. Sanity shouldn't be one of them. Ethan, hey, double down on it. Don't question unless it's really helping. That's true. Ethan, I do think there are a lot of harmful misunderstandings flowing through a lot of belief systems. Ethan, I'm glad you brought that up, man. You're absolutely right. Everything from this path is the right path. This book has all the secrets you would ever fucking need. This system, that system. You're absolutely right. But it's because we are human. We are in flesh. We have all these different forces that play within and around us, brother. So of course it's going to be flawed no matter what. The idea is just to be as least flawed as possible. And that's basically all we can be. I like that patchwork. I'm not going down without a fight. I will defend my brothers and sisters. Damn right. Anybody who's met me, I'm much the same way, everybody. Yeah, Ethan, it does. That misunderstanding does lead to a lot of problems down the line, and I think it also is what's causing the division in the community itself. No flex on that. Felix, so you say we need to commune with our inner demon? Absolutely. But you got to understand, and this is where I was trying my best. I don't know how soon you came into the conversation. So the HGA and the Holy Daemon are one and the same. They're just they're referred to as one or the other, depending on whether they're in their etheric form, which is the HGA, or whether they're in their chthonic form, which is the daemon, as to which they're placed in, and their area of influence. Because imagine it like this right here. There's 4 elements, right? Well, imagine that at the root of all existence, magical, spiritual, the whole 9 yards, everything is combined of elements. Everything. Everything came from elements, and everything goes back into their elements. They just do. and spirit being an element, just in case people are a little confused. Uh, but in the sense that I'm trying to describe this or explain this, so you have west and north, which is water and earth, right? That's the chthonic realm. Okay, that's the more dense realm. It's also the area that's beyond stars. Same time. This is where I was saying earlier about the etheric can sometimes get a little confusing. That's what I was referring to as. Also, you've got east and south, which are etheric because that's air and fire. Those are the higher, lesser, dense, and this is how we associate them. Okay, this is how we come to understand. Which is in play is by which elements are on the board that are being worked with, or that we're contending with within creation or within our physical life or our spiritual self, within our inner temple or our outer temple, for lack of better words. Okay, let me try to scroll back up here. Yeah, look, when they realize that you can affect their lives, it's priceless. Yeah, it is, man. But I tell you what, sometimes you've got to put people like that in their place. But one of the coolest things I ever learned was those are the times I like to keep it to myself, because then, like I dealt with somebody like that not too long ago, and I was so pissed, man, and I lit a candle to let it go. And all of a sudden I thought, no, 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 no. You know what? I'm giving that shit back to the motherfucker that made me feel or even think that in the first place. And it was fucking wonderful, man. I felt fucking free as hell, man. I didn't give a shit after that. All right, so I feel it. I see what you're saying. Be careful out there. Also, don't give a fuck. Yeah, exactly. And by don't giving a fuck, I'm not talking about, I think I've made it clear enough about the whole, we're not necessarily trying to take motherfuckers out at the knees, the ankles, and no shit like that. But it's the whole applying the right amount of force, and just the force necessary. You know, I myself, I like to go for the gusto sometimes, but only when warranted. But for each of us, we all individually have that line that just says, okay, I'm gonna put the kitchen sink in this. Yeah, I like this. If you ever just put their ass in a sex jar. Yeah, I saw one the other day, man. It's like, my grandma's got your name in a jar of vinegar, and I kept thinking, oh shit, yeah, that'd be neat as shit, man. Uh, Soror Tamori, the pendulum swings equally in both directions. I'm glad you brought that up. Uh, it does. I believe I did a video where I was talking about, how to keep the pendulum balanced. Because you have to think of it this way: is it's not really about. It is honestly not really about. Oh well, you like for example, in spellcasting. Okay, you want a job. You go out and you fill out the application. You did the physical aspect of it. Okay, pendulum is swung this way. You then go and you light the candles and do the magical part. Pendulum swings this way. You've kept the pendulum in a semi sync right here, which is the ideal. Okay, so when we become imbalanced or misaligned, that pendulum is doing this shit right here, and that's what we don't fucking want. Because the idea is to be in harmony, not necessarily balance, but harmony. Uh, oh, Ethan, cool, man. I don't know that I believe that. I don't think we're inherently flawed at all. Well, it's not really that necessarily that I think we're flawed, man. I just think that with everybody being so differently, that and because the way that individually we're each raised up with all these different influences and things, that's what I was referring to as flawed, not necessarily the beings that we truly are, because that I don't think that's flawed at all. Matter of fact, I never believed for 1 second that we left the garden. Now, I don't refer to it as the Garden of Eden. I refer to it as the Garden of the Gods. I don't think we ever did. I think there was lovely fantasy of control and dominion over spirit by flesh. Yeah, no, leave that shit to you individually to have dominion over your own flesh through spirit, not others having that power over you, as in the world around you. Uh, Also, the concept of the fall, like Lucifer, stuff like that. And I don't I don't think there was no fall. I think if there was a fall, is when mankind forgot, and that's the fall. That's the only fall we've ever had is when we forgot. And so, in a lot of my videos where I'm talking about the Mesopotamian word kempa, which means remember, because constantly we have to remember, because in remembering that power is awakened and unlocked within us. Through remembering, we take back our power, we take back control of our situations. Soror Tamori, I heard something today about you can never be right. You can only be relevant because right is ever changing. Boy, you're right about that. And the more in the spotlight you are, the more relevant you are. Or some shit like that. Oh, really? No, but I thought that was kind of funny, Like everybody's like, oh, we got to make sure everybody knows that we're still there. I've been disappearing from Facebook here lately. Because my own path, my own magical path, my own workings, things like that. It was just I was putting too much work in so many areas and not enough of my own. It's why I'm doing this for my channel because I'll let you guys know. Sorcerer Ahrimanahsul still doing his shit, still being real, but we're about to take this up a notch because I'm bringing the angle of my channel to where I want it. I have it vibrate at the level I fucking want it. I want true power to reign. I want true strength, wisdom, knowledge, understanding be my crown. I'm eternal. As an eternal, all things are as my desire. And we all need to be like that in our own little worlds. Philip, I want to work with the jinn. Any advice? Ooh. Well, you know what? Desire. Just a desire. Reach out, man. Do all the research you can online, whether through script or whatever. Don't fall into the whole, Islamic quotes and stuff to control the jinn, like in high magic and certain Islamic rites where you're commanding the demons by the name of God. Don't get carried away in that. But you can do a general calling. Like for example, I would start with Iblis. Phalip. If that's really what you want to do, start with Iblis and ask that light a candle, have your offering to Iblis, and just be like, King of the Jinn, send me a Jinn familiar or guide to guide me upon this path. Make sure you give your offering to Iblis. That's what I would do. That's what I've done. Either I like this, man, dude. You just all kind of argumentative now. Like, I don't agree. I like that. I don't know if I agree with that either. I think morality is situational but not changing. Well, it's not really about morality, brother. Morality has nothing to do with any of it. Morality is what you yourself hold yourself to, not what others hold you to. And if you're holding yourself to others' morality, you're doing something wrong. Oh yeah, we're definitely perfectly capable of understanding that. Sophia, I like that we're all a bunch of carbon units. We're just meat suits for the spirit to abide in. And sometimes we have 2 or 3, and they call it MPDs. Or wait, no, I think they got a new phrase for that now. They don't call it MPDs anymore. Call it a disorder. Ender, interested in those that have never been born of flesh. The bornless one ritual, that later on was found to be incorrect. It was the headless ones in Enochian. The concept that I worked with forever and a fucking day, and I still to this day work with, is those that have never taken flesh. And you can create a sigil out of that, and to work with, you can use your own there. Bornless, fleshless. I guess you could. It just depends, and you can connect with beings that resonate to that. There's a way that you can connect with that. I'm not saying that in the process you wouldn't accidentally create a tulpa or a servitor or something like that. But hey, man, it's magic. All kinds of shit happens. But here's the thing: if you get your answers and you get the results, fucking roll with it. Don't let anybody tell you differently. little bit deep there. Soror Tamori said, I could see that perspective. I think the change in what is right, depending on the situation, is still change. I could argue that murder is never right. But if it's me or someone else, then it's them. You know, that has a lot to do with it. Like me personally, I revere life. I revere the life that is within my flesh, and I revere the life that's in someone else's. But you threaten my life in any way, shape, form, or fashion, or anybody that I deeply, deeply care about, that is off the board. You know, you've got that fight flight thing that they keep talking about in psychology. You know, you yourself have to decide, you know, which are you. And if you find yourself more of a flight person, make for certain that in certain circumstances or situations that, you know, and this is part of knowing yourself, because you got to know whether you are a fight or flight person, whether you have a personality type or not, and then learn to work around it, you know. Maybe not necessarily in this, try to prevent all situations, because that's never going to happen. Eventually, you will be put in a situation where you have to face it. But then there's that strength of character comes out, and that's the power of self. I have a hard time finding any absolutes in this place. Soror Tamori, the hardest thing, and this leads to madness, and this is part of what I was discussing, or trying my best to. There is no such thing as an absolute. There is no absolute truth. There is no absolute wisdom. There is no absolute answer. The best answers are given in the form of questions, because to question something, to answer something with a question that allows the mind to think more questions, actually gives rise to growth, you know, and that is life in a sense, you know, and it's hard to accept that, you know, it's easier to go fall back in the boxes that we came out of than it is to stay outside of our box. But, you know, along the way, try to find little tips and tricks to be able to stay out of it longer is the idea. Ethan, as far as hearing about whether there's a polar war, every now and then I'll see somebody say something, but I just know that a long time ago I did question it, I did wonder. That feeling of like a great war was coming or something like that, all this other shit. And and you can get carried away and stuff like that. It's really weird that when you're in groups of people, you start giving stuff like that power, and then you start to wonder, is it going to be like a physical war? Is it spiritual war? Is it this? Is it that? And then you start witnessing imbalances in groups and in people in general. That's why I stay away from that. Uh, Patchwork, yeah, a fantastic book for working with Jen is a copy of the Book of Smokeless Fire, but they were trying to find out where they could work with. Every Jen in that book is literally, it's a loaded weapon, brother. Uh, and Faileth, you're very welcome. Sophia, if a Jinn gives you onion peel, I'm talking about the dried outer layer, that's yellow gold. When you're back in this realm, it will turn into gold. Well, now, I didn't know that. Heard that from a friend's grandma many years ago. I read it in a cold book. Well, that is neat. I don't know if it's true either. Yeah, Ethan, I like the way you put that. You have a fairly solid ethical stance. You said, I've heard, find your sentence. You said, lol, nice. Yeah, I have a fairly solid ethical stance. And that's what you got to have, is you got to have a personal ethical stance. You don't hold others to it, but you hold yourself to it, because it's not others that we judge, it's ourselves that we judge. Hence the weighing of the heart against the feather. When my aunt's sitting there weighing this feather, I did this right. And when I discovered that it was everything that I held against myself, not something others held against me, dude, I've never been the same since then. Well, Philip, that's a weird question. Is it true that if a curse and hex aren't justified, we will get it back to us? Nope. I'm gonna say that right now. Nope. Okay, if you're coming from the right, if you're coming from a place of power within, and you get a repercussion. It is not a repercussion that you're getting. You have just dealt with a magical person that has defenses, and that's their defenses being set off. And then a lot of times it's hard for us to understand that. You know, we think, oh, something came back to us. No, 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 no. But if you buy into that school of thought that it can come back to you, guess what? You've opened up a door for your own energy to return to you. So that can be true as well. Thank you, Soror. What books on Jinn you recommend me? Phaelus Satanus Root Witch asks. Honestly, I don't. Val Codman, I want to say, has a book on Jinns. I don't remember off the top of my head. Maybe check him out. I'll type in his name and you can do research. That dude is awesome. I would love to interview that guy. I really would. I think he's fucking pimp as shit, man. Him and Mike Bitford. But anyway, that's just me. I'm sorry, I had a moment there for a second. Good point on the book. I was wondering if it was good for starting with Jinn, but it does seem more weaponized. I will say this. The really good thing about the Book of Smokeless Fire that has nothing to do with the weapon is that there are exercises in there and there are circles and triangles that you can use. And Iblis. And you can call upon Iblis. And now Iblis can provide you a familiar Jinn spirit to work with you. Okay. So I'm not saying that you can't, but out of that book, the one that I would suggest working with is Iblis. Yes, Sophia. Espen Kane does work with Jinn. Ethan says, well said indeed. Well said indeed. I think discussion is more important than actually holding people to standards in most situations. It is, but you got to always remember one thing. Whenever you're going to have a reaction, or when you're just, maybe you're not catching yourself, maybe you don't catch it. But if you ever find yourself responding or reacting, stop for just a minute and find out why. Why are you reacting that manner? Is it because they're trying to be confrontational and trying to egg you on? Is it coming from a point where you yourself you don't have a strong enough root of that part within inside yourself yet? And then sometimes motherfuckers just need to be put in a place. Well, I'm glad, man. I'm glad. You know, I appreciate everybody being here tonight. You know, I have been putting this off for so fucking long because it is a loaded subject, just all around. You know, understanding the soul as shadow, understanding, you know, a path of power. Like, for example, everything that I've discussed here, this is the base of everything that I do. Okay, I can work with the Necronomicon. I can work with Margon Smith's books. I can work the Hecatan. I can work with Citra Ashra. I can work any of them. Michael W. Ford's books, the Armenian Path, so forth, so on. I work any of them. Okay, but the reason I get the results out of them that I do, and the way that I'm able to, is that I have employed at the very base of the root of it the path of apotheosis, of becoming through sacrifice, of becoming through nothing. Okay, so and this is a path of sorcery that a lot of people don't. Oh man, they'll write a bunch of books, they'll say a lot of words, but they just don't. They don't put it to where you can quite understand it, quite get what's going on. And you know, and that's what I try to do is I try to put this shit out there. Like that, soror, tomorrow I have enough to do holding myself to my own standards to worry about anyone else. Oh yeah, you know, my wife. Oh, that girl is the most opinionated person I have ever met on the face of the planet Earth. For her to be a Libra and so balanced, that girl has an opinion on everything, and I have no problem with that. But sometimes she try to get me in on shit, and I'm just sitting there going, I don't care. She goes, what do you think? I was like, I don't think anything. Well, what do you feel? I don't feel anything. And she gets so aggravated at me sometimes because I don't have any feelings or thoughts, you know, and it's not because I don't, but because I only put my power where I want it, and my power, I don't wish to put it into opinion. Why should I? Like I said, unless it serves an end goal or a purpose, I'm not going to fucking do it. You know. Whereas my wife, her being a witch, though, like, she's got like her own thing. She's her own path, her own practice, and it's fucking beautiful, and it works for her. But it's also why I've never chosen the moniker of witch, because I just don't see myself as a witch. I don't care, how much of it. Like a lot of my practice, I'm not into voodoo, but holy shit, a lot of my practices deal with spirits and things like that, ancestral spirits, things of this nature, things that in voodoo are involved. Even some of the like the spell containers and stuff like that. All these different things. But that doesn't mean I'm into voodoo. You know what I'm saying? So I don't consider myself a core or voodoo practitioner or whatever the word is for 'em. I have nothing against them, but it's not, it's not my thing. Uh, Witchcraft, yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe I use herbs and this, that, and the other, and all this other stuff, but that doesn't make me a witch. Uh, High magic, yeah, I do ritual and stuff. Does that make me a magician? Unless that's what I focused on. For me, a sorcerer is just like an open fucking field that said, hey, Waylon, anything fits here. And I was like, woohoo! And I built the fucking fuck out of a kingdom in it, you know? But it's my own system. That's why I said, if there was a religion around me, it'd be Waylandism. Like, and that's my thing. That's what I do. Before I get on here, and interview people that I do and stuff, because that's what I do. I want to see what you guys come up with. I want to see these different practices, these different approaches, these different books, these different paintings, all this shit, man. Because all y'all are some beautiful motherfuckers. All this creativity, man. Show it, let your light fucking shine brightest or darkest or however you want to be about it, Why I do what I do. I'm not sitting here trying to fucking advertise and sell shit. Give a fuck, it'll either sell or it won't sell. It'll work or it won't work. But I like to bring things out to the light and go, pretty, ain't it? Show the shit off, Brings, if it advertises for you, super sweet, man, let's do it, A lot of times I love just sitting here, just sitting here shooting shit, I love chat. I swear, I think I'm addicted to the live streaming only because this is the way I get to actually chat with a bunch of people at one time. But imagine if I was able to actually have you guys like in hang out with me or something, just sit there, shoot the shit, and hang out. That would be shit. That I like. Stuff like that. Or sit there and share ideas, toss things around. That's what I like. And that's why I do what I do. But at any rate, I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. If any of y'all have any questions, please, 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 before we end it, I want to hear it. I really do. I want to hear any questions here. And I want to thank so many of you for fucking showing up. Holy shit. I really honestly didn't think past like 5 or 6 were going to actually show up for me to sit here and talk. Hell yeah. Yeah, it is. It is awesome energy, you can build stuff like that, Uh, I've got a few things in the making right now. Besides my own personal practice and not being on Facebook every day. Like if I get on there, it's at like really weird times, and all I'm doing is checking my messages, trying to get off that bad boy. Because I got other things I got to do around here. I gotta keep myself up. First and foremost before I can do anything else. And like I said, I've been putting this off forever and a fucking day. And I can thank my sister Sorcery earlier tonight. I was talking to her. I was like, I really want to do a live stream a little bit. I've been putting it off for so long, because I didn't know how I'd actually pull it off, and I didn't know if I actually had the balls to do it, and not like that, but just you talk about doing a subject like this. I mean, this is a can of worms. It really fucking is. Uh, but that. Well, hell yeah, Patchwork, you do that, man. But nothing else. Though, I want to say thank you, honestly, seriously. For me to every single one of you. You guys are fucking awesome, man. And thank you very much, Tamori. That means a lot to me. You know, every single one of y'all mean a lot to me. You know, so all I can do is say thank you. You know, every single one of you. You know, you come here to listen to me. You bet your ass you have a channel. You have something you want to say. I'll be there to listen to you. You know, because and it's just that's reciprocation. You know, that's why people message me or leave comments. That's why I always comment back or message back. Well, I'm glad, Phila. But anyway, until next time, peace, blessings, and power, and just be you. Find what works for you, and don't let anybody else change you. If you're gonna change because you want to, not because other motherfuckers want you to. Later.